Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. And that brings up another question because you're going into that. Now I put out a tape about 2 days ago about John D. Rockefeller taking over the medicine game. He pretty much got rid of all the holistic. We had nothing but holistic schools over here. We didn't have the medical schools they got, where they teaching all of the pharmaceutical. Oh yeah, there's no cures and all that. We didn't have none of that. Could you go in on a little bit on that on the holistic schools that we had over here prior to John D. Rockefeller getting rid of paying everybody to get rid of the holistic schools?
Well, that was when they was introducing the American Medical Association. Okay. A lot of people don't know you used to go to the barber to have surgery. You go to the hospital. You used to go to the barber to get your tooth pulled. That was the other side of the barber shop. The medicine man most of the time was the barber. He was the one tell you what you need on the land when you come to town. That was the check-in chief. If he wasn't the barber, the barber wasn't the one who was the medicine man. The medicine man worked right in the back. 9 out of 10, it was some old lady. Really old lady. Been around a long time, has seen it all, done it all. Right? So now, fast forward, they want to institute financial. Remember, everything that we naturally do, they can villainize it, demonize it, so they can monetize it.
Copyright it. Yeah.
Right. A license is permission to do something that's illegal. How is it illegal to heal somebody that's sick?
Right.
Who passed that law and made it illegal?
Yeah.
But you need a license to practice medicine.
Yeah.
Right.
Practice. Keyword.
Yeah. Practice. And we know, and we got our nervous to thank for us understanding the meaning of practice. You can be the greatest at what you do, but if you're not practicing, they assume you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because they don't never see you at practice.
Yeah, they never see him at practice, but he still win. Let's go sick that. Because everything you saying is straight facts, because they tell us all of this. They say that when they got the Native Americans was over here, and then when 1607 is really when diseases started coming, when they came over here. I heard an old Native American chief say that it wasn't no rats or none of that. So could you go in on how when they came, that's when the diseases all came, like the smallpox, all that came with them over here.
You gotta remember, they was giving peace offerings. Well, one of our customs was called the blanket right. Mm-hmm. Right. And we used to exchange blankets, and Big Mamas used to exchange slippers. Uh-huh. Well, in Latin America, it's called a chancla. It's a symbol of power. So when they exchange them, that's recognizing the other tribe. Well, you got the European came over here, and he had smallpox infested blankets and syphilis infested hookers. Yeah. And the concubines from over there would be treated drastically different over here if they wasn't killing the people off with their diseased bodies. Dang. All this was by design. This is not a secret. We ain't the first ones they did it to. Yeah. You think they learned how to do it to us? They was giving Mongolians and Huns smallpox infested stuff before they got to build up an immunity to it. Yeah. Right. You gotta remember, before they started fighting to the west, to the east, they was already fighting to the west. The ones they was fighting in the east was in the east was called barbarians. Right. Right. The ones they was fighting in the west was called Tartarians. Right. Right. Which traces back to the Book of Enoch and the land of Tartarus, which is described as the exact geography under the ice of Antarctica. Right. The coldest desert in the world. right?
They find.
So
Oh, just pick up.
yeah, so they think that
Nope.
it's all by design, very poorly designed at that.
It's high level alchemy, man, because like you said, this is a conjure, and that's part of the alchemy. So now let's go to the next phase of this because we're dealing with treaties, and we're talking about different mechanisms that they use. Now let's go to the first wave. So what would you say was the first wave? Could you like go in order with the liquor, then the heroin, then was it coke, then like coke came after that. It was liquor first, wasn't it? Prohibition, then it was heroin after the war, Vietnam War, and then crack. They hit us with crack in 81. Now I heard some people say it was 79. They seen it, but it wasn't. But they say 81, man. I'm talking a whole bunch of smoker. They say 81, man. That's when they was in high. My cousin said 81. That's when it really crack really hit. But could you go in a timeline on those mechanisms of the different alchemical, like as far as the drugs and liquor and the different formats on the drugs?
It has some famous nightclubs in the 70s: Studio 57, Studio 104, Playboy clubs, Hustler clubs. And all of these night spots, they had something called freebase. This was in the 70s, late 60s and the 70s. Freebase is what became crack cocaine, right? Because they used to cook the impurities off of the powder cocaine and to smoke it. They called it freebasing, right? If you go back to NWA, the song, I think it's Boys in the Hood. He said, "My man JD was on freebase. The boy JD was a friend of mine till I caught him in my car trying to steal my Alpine." Right? They wasn't calling it crack. The government named it crack when they made it in UCLA, Berkeley. They have the actual papers that was written on the refined cocaine process that they was doing in UCLA that made crack cocaine. This is how they even learned how to freebase. Right?
Hey, using the Skinner box, right, Rod?
No, I'm talking about they
on the monkeys. They was giving crack to the monkeys, putting them in the Skinner box. I remember that study.
You know what? They might have been using the Skinner box, but I know they was testing the crack cocaine on monkeys, and they were offering food versus cracking, and the monkey would take the crack over the food. But that was after they had refined it.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta remember, before they refined cocaine in the crack, they had tried to do it with caffeine. Right, yeah, and then that's when they was called. That's what speed is. It's the sifted down caffeine.
Yeah,
but it wasn't as addictive as the coca leaf. Right. So since it's not as addictive as the coca leaf, and now you can go buy it in the store and they call it no dose.
Yeah.
Right. If that would have been the equivalent of the cocaine, that would be just like selling crack over the counter.
Yeah.
But because the cocaine and the crack is so much stronger than the caffeine, then they make the caffeine like that's passe. Remember, you used to have to go find a person that knew how to make aspirin. Aspirin wasn't no common pain reliever.
Yeah.
Only certain people knew how to make it.
Yeah, it's a certain plant.
Until they found out that they could monetize it and sell it as powder called step back in the South.
Yeah,
back. Some of the people know what I'm talking about down in the South.
Yeah,
we call it. Yeah.
I remember my granddaddy talking about that. Yeah. Stand back. Give it to him. He said, if I'm having a heart attack, go in my pocket, give me some of that stand back, pour it down in my mouth, and stand back.
All it is aspirin. Yep. But it was pure aspirin before they started putting impurities in it.
Yeah.
Right? And then they found that the aspirin have a side effect of burning holes in your stomach. Mm-hmm. But they didn't tell us that. They whispered it to us. So now we be taking aspirin, burning holes in our stomach, and wonder why we got ulcers.
Yep. That's what. Yep. Later found out that.
You know,
Now,
so
yeah.
all that is monetizing stuff and using different things. Now, when they was developing crack in UCLA, it was a CIA funded operation.
Go ahead.
At that time, George Herbert Walker Bush was the director in the 70s under Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
But crack don't hit the streets until Ronald Reagan is in office.
Reagan era.
Right. So Reagan ended up being undermined at every turn by George Bush. George Bush was scared to death of Ronald Reagan. You don't remember his campaign promises revealing the UFO files?
Yeah.
We don't remember he was saying that in his campaign. He was saying he was going to open the UFO files, the CIA files, all of the top secret government stuff that the people supposed to be aware of that the government was keeping from them. That was his platform.
Yeah.
But now we only remember something called Reaganomics.
Yeah. Reaganomics. Well, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. Hey, Nino Brown on New Jack City said they running a strange program, y'all, in the Reagan era. They running a strange program where the rich get richer and the poor get poor. That's crazy. Hey, this is what I was gonna ask you though, Rod. Too. It's gonna be like I don't like we talking about that, right? They get all soft up. But okay, from back in the day, I remember because we're talking about the herbal schools and how John D. Rockefeller got rid of all the herbal schools. Because everybody, my grandma, all the people that was like born before the 60s, they knew how the natural herb, they knew how to natural heal. Like my grandma, all I had to do is call my grandma. If I had something, man, call my grandma. Like I said, my stomach hurt, grandma. She'd say, go in there and get some baking soda, stir it around in the warm water, and then drink it. Right? I do it, boom.
We call that Alka-Seltzer now.
Yeah. 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 Put it in the cup. Yeah, you put it in the cup and it for you. Yeah.
When the women over here was raising children, they learned what every plant was. They learned what every herb, tree, rock, soil patch. Because you gotta remember, you could be walking on brown soil and all of a sudden you hit a patch of dirty red soil. You keep on walking far enough, you're going to hit a patch of dark black soil in the middle of nowhere. The change in the soil is changing in what we call elements. The chemical properties of the different colors of soil is different. And this when you talk about Edom, you talk about ruddy red, you talking about Mississippi clay dirt. Ain't no Mississippi clay dirt in the Middle East.
It's how iron, red dirt, how iron.
Yeah, ain't no Mississippi clay dirt in the Middle East.
Nah. It's all saying. So yeah, so what it stands the reason that all those schools that we had, those medical schools that our grandmothers and them were attending those type of schools or getting their information.
No, we didn't have schools.
Well, like not schools, but you like a center where you learn, where they teach and pass that
right,
information.
So
yeah,
every family had a specialty.
Yeah,
and then it was somebody in every family responsible to learn certain stuff.
Yeah, pass it down. Yeah,
all right. Most of the women had to learn midwifery and doula practice early.
Yeah.
By the time they got to be adult women, they supposed to have been the masters of yoni magic. Right? They took that away from them. They're like, no, we can't let them have that much control over their own self, their own body. They're not competent to govern over their own body. Right? So they took all of that stuff and put it into a hospice center called a hospital. Right? And the hospitalers, if you look them up, not hospital, hospitalers is a secret society. Like Masons. Like Knights Templar.
Yeah.
Right? And they was the ones who made the agreement with the Shriners to administer healthcare. That's why all Shriners hospitals is supposed to always be free for children. They're not, you know,
And they
never
own
supposed to be billed at a Shriner hospital for taking a child.
facts.
The difference is the Shriners hospitals are normally the ones who still follow the Imhotep oath, not the Hippocratic oath. We forgot Imhotep was the father of medicine.
Yeah, that's right.
Hippocrates was just a Johnny come lately interloper that was trying to figure out what was being talked about in the old records.
Yeah, what Imhotep put down. Yeah. And look, Rod, so do you think that man, okay, I might want supposed to say that then. So let's ask this question then. All right, so Rod, the medical game. So pretty much, because man, I'm telling you, the hospitals they get rid of people, man, and then the format that they got in there, based on what the Rockefeller tape said, and based on when I've been up in there, they really on a program that ain't. It's on how much money we can get out this guy. Let's take him down here and put him in this machine, this X-ray machine. It's $2,500 just for putting you in that machine. Then let's take him upstairs, give him 25 drugs, and we're gonna charge him $2,000 for that. Then they charging you $300 every 2 hours for the room, like you staying at a high dollar motel. And the food is so crap up in there. You know, this the next thing. Let's bring the next question. Here you go, right here. It came to me. Now, so when my grandma, before she died, she was in the hospital. And she called us to say, hey, y'all need to bring me some doggone food up here, right? And my grandma from down Mississippi, like that area, right? She raised her own cows, chickens, everything. She raised her own stuff all the way till she died, right? I remember she still had chickens when she died, right? But that's what I meant to say. She said, y'all need to bring me a real burger, because she said that because the chicken up here, it must have been mad when it died. It must have been mad when it died because it tastes like rubber, right? It must have been mad. It's a chicken. That's a head chicken. It must have been mad. And she said that it tastes like rubber, and it tastes like it don't got no cock-a-doodle-doo, meaning that it ain't chicken. And this was way back before I even knew about them growing chicken in the lab and all that. They might have been growing the chicken in the lab way back then when my grandma said ain't no cock-a-doodle-doo in this chicken. Now I'm trying to tell you. They thought she was going. They had to make her like she was crazy, right? I didn't taste real chicken. I didn't pluck my own real chicken. This ain't no chicken. And so we went to a place called Jack in the Box. I don't know if y'all got them up there, but down south they got a place called Jack in the Box. They sell burgers. It's kind of like McDonald's, Burger King, same. But
you know they got called kangaroo meat back in the day.
Yeah, they got shut down, right? They got shut
That's
down.
what happened. That's why they're not as popular as they used to be. The kangaroo meat scandal.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they started recovering from that, they had a horse meat scandal. All this stuff is Googleable information.
Yeah. It's funny that you say all that because now I think about it, make it funnier what my grandma said. Hey, so my grandma, my cousin bought her the burger. She got the burger, ate it. She said, I'm gonna tell you now because something going on here. She said there ain't no moo in that burger. Ain't no moo in that burger, and it wasn't no cock-a-doodle-doo in that chicken. And so that wouldn't have been, that couldn't have been no real burger. It had to be something else. That's what my grandma was saying. So based on that's what I meant to tell you. Now, so the meat over here. A lot of people stop eating meat now since the Chinese selling all the pigs over here, but they won't let it be exported to their country. They won't accept hogs from over here. They own all the hog farms, the Chinese, but they won't accept the hog to their country. Does that sound like some kind of military warfare or something? Now, so the meat, how are we gonna do it? Because there's some people that still want to eat meat, and they don't got no cows. You know what I'm saying? Who owns some cows? Nobody really owns cows no more, really. You know, so chickens, you know. So do you think we should start our own chicken farm, or if you a meat eater? Should you start your own little small get together for a while till we can get some kind of big operation going on? The meat game. What you think? Should we stop eating meat altogether? What's your take on it? Because people got different blood types. Go in on the meat thing.
Listen, meat, vegetables, and whatever it is. Once you kill it, it's dead. I don't care if it's a plant or if it's an animal. Once you kill it, it's dead. Right? It's just that it takes longer for vegetables to die than for meat to die. Right? All we doing is translating life force from one organism to another. Whether you eat meat or not should be your own personal preference. A lot of people can't go vegan. As soon as they go vegan, they can't hold body weight. Right? And then they start getting weak. Then they look like they got malnutrition.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Everybody not supposed to be vegan, just like everybody not supposed to eat meat. Some people are supposed to be pescatarians. They only supposed to eat seafood. Right? And they normally have a reaction when they eat other stuff. Their body be like, nah, man, this ain't where it's at right here. That's not your cultural diet, and I ain't finna buy it.
Rod, I was just about to ask you that. Like, so would it be safe to say that whatever tribe, say if you had to use a tribe from the based on the shorelines, like you talk about the crab tribe from the West Coast, the crab plant. So they ate certain crab that they can eat crab. It's like a lot, and it wouldn't affect them as it would affect another tribe that wasn't a Bay tribe. Could you go in on that? The different tribes ate different things depending on where they land was.
Yeah, we talked about that before on several different occasions.
Yeah.
Where your ancestral diet, right, traced back to the land your people was at for the longest period of time. Like my ancestral diet is Southern cooking.
Yeah.
Right. We used to eat dandelion greens. Now they got us eating collard greens.
Yeah. Dang.
You can find out why by when looking at the nutritional value and the health benefits of the two.
The hybrid. Yeah.
Right. They got us eating turnips and mustards, which is not a bad green.
Yeah.
But the dandelion is the king of nutritional biological support of the greens.
That's facts.
But them collard greens, look, they don't even taste right if you don't eat them with your fingers.
Yeah.
Not to nobody that's from the tribes.
You know about that, bro.
If you don't mash that cornbread up with them greens with your fingers, it don't taste right.
Man, hot sauce and that cornbread, man. That water cornbread and hot sauce on them green. Man, make me want to cook some greens tomorrow, bro. I might go cook some greens tomorrow. Yeah, you making me hungry, man, because I sure been fasting all day.
But my cousin Chuck told my mama to taste some greens one time, and they was on the fork, and my mama tasted them. She was like, "Hold on, give me that plate." She put the plate. She said, "Hold this fork." Oh, I know what's missing out of these.
The sauce. He missing the apple cider vinegar. That's what he was missing.
Look, when you don't eat it with your fingers, you can't. They don't have the same effect.
Yeah.
You can ask anybody from Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, or Tennessee, Kentucky. You can even ask some of the pale face folk. They'll tell you the same thing.
You talk about the cooks and all that, the cooks, the different families that had different things. Now in Memphis, because I know it's different cultures everywhere, but everybody got different styles. People had different styles. In Memphis, they got a different style. In Detroit, the players got a different style. It's similar, but they got a little slight difference. Like I remember that, like if you come to Detroit, there was a certain type of Jeep that everybody drove up there, a certain type of car that everybody rocked. So could you go in on that the trend that we set and the time frame? I remember when everybody was wearing Chuck Taylors, and then they stopped wearing them, and then 20 years later they started everybody wearing Chuck Taylors. It was like so the different phases of the trends that we set. Could you go in on that?
Different trends normally take on regionally first. This is how you see how a culture is expressed. Right? It was one time in Chicago The only shoes you seen a Stone wearing was the original black and red Air Force Ones. The original black and red Air Force Ones, you wasn't finna catch a Stone in them. But the GDs will be wearing the all white Air Force Ones. Why? Jordan, number 23, Chicago Bull. This brother representing us, we representing him. I'm using my tribal way of representing him with these white Air Force Ones. You using yours with the black and red. I prefer low tops. You like the high tops, right? So it's the same with the Chuck Taylors in Cali, right? The Chuck Taylors became equivalent of combat boots to soldiers out west. It became part of the dress code of the culture of the West, right? When they ask you why, it's just the law of the West. Only somebody from the West can understand the law of the West, right? So when you go out there and you get involved in their politics, but you don't know their political structure, you're going to get crushed every time, right? But if you know how their politics work and you get a respect, you don't have the problems that you have when you understand the culture, right? So we crisscrossing all over the land now. Spider webs. We sewing it up, right? Because now you got Crips and Bloods in the Midwest, and you got folks and Vice Lords out west. You got them all in New York. But this is really what we're doing is tracking everybody going back home after fighting the wars on different parts of the land. Every tribe was called into Florida when it first set off. This is why none of them boats in the history books landed in Florida after the Gullah War started, because they was blocking the intake from them to get to New Orleans. There was the war zone was the Gulf of America as it is now. Trump renamed it. The Gulf of America was the battlefield. So all of the settlers to come after that, they have to settle going north on the eastern seaboard. Our intake is not the eastern seaboard. That's called a breach of security. Somebody breached the security. All you got to do is look at who territory they said it was. The New England territory, right? The New England territory is where's the Old England territory? Because you won't know who's claiming the New England territory if you don't know who has claimed the Old England territory, right? So the culture influences how we move on the land, and then it show you where we at when we get there.
Yeah, because NWA came out at a time when dope, it was like, the police brutality, all that. So, but speaking of going into now, do you think that the music is keeping the gun violence like not letting us know? Because it seems like to me when they do the raps and then they say certain key words like the N word, when they say the N word, it's like they talking about us or their own people, like they making us the enemy. Like you said, like a while back, you said that we just don't know who the enemy is. We fighting the wrong enemy, right? So do you think the music is still being weaponized to keep us thinking that we are the enemy? Our own, besides the people that look like us but ain't us?
So the experiment for weaponized music goes back to Tavistock Institute in the development of a pop culture iconic group called the Beatles.
Yeah, I remember.
An MK Ultra collaboration between the CIA and MI5, MI6. this collaborative effort was trying to use what's called the Pied Piper effect.
Mm.
Remember, the Pied Piper came to town to get rid of the rats.
Mm.
But what happened when they didn't want to pay him for getting rid of the rats? He came back and he Pied Pipered the children right on up out of town. He cut off their resources to their future. Right? He just stole their whole future from them by stealing their children and brought an end to bloodlines. Whoever was part of that village, their bloodline was cut off when the children left, at least on that territory. All these stories have significance in pop culture. They got significance in politics. They got how we perceive them and where do they fit to explain the story is why they kept in. You got to remember, in order to keep something in the forefront of somebody's mind, you got to keep telling them.
Yeah.
Because soon as you stop telling them, it's going to sink into the subconscious. And if it's not required and needed, then it won't be pulled back to the forefront ever again. So all of the stuff that they keep repetitiously telling us, the nursery rhymes, the fairy tales, the mythology, the religious dogmas, right? All that's to keep that program at the forefront of the mind, occupying your short-term memory, jamming your computer processor.
Yeah, right. Hey, Rod, I remember you was on that tape with Dr. Kia, and Dr. Kia was twisting her cap back. And I said, damn, Rod, no more than the doctor. You know what I'm saying? yeah, right. Because you was telling her stuff about her career, like stuff that she didn't even know about her career. Like, man, that shit was crazy. You go back and watch that tape, y'all, about what me and Rod did called Rod Receipt class with Dr. Kia. That's dope, man. Shout out Dr. Kia, man. Prove it.
Yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah, she deep too. That's why they shadow ban her, shut her pages down. So she must be doing something that they really don't like.
Yeah, she's antagonistic to the divide and conquer system. Yeah, if you don't know that the system of control over us is divide and conquer, then you won't look at the individual means by which they divide us up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. The easiest thing to do is to exploit the xenophobia. Right? The xenophobia is a irrational or a manic fear